want to start today with something that might sound a little controversial. You don't need another vision board. Not because vision boards are bad, and not because dreaming is wrong, but because sometimes we tend to use the vision board to avoid the harder conversations. You don't need another Pinterest code. You don't need to manifest harder. You don't even need to say affirmations louder. What you need is structure, discipline, clarity, and the courage to start before you even feel ready. Because a vision without execution is just basically decoration. And today we're talking about what it will really take to build a lasting personal brand and or even a business brand, especially if you're starting over. Hi beautiful people, and welcome to the very first episode of the Mbali Talks Podcast, a space for women who are ready to build clarity, confidence, financial freedom, and a life that actually feels like theirs. My name is Mbali, and I couldn't think of a better topic than this one, because right now, so many women are restarting, myself included. We are restarting careers, we're restarting businesses, we are restarting our personal brands, we're even restarting just basically our lives. And the one thing the internet will tell you, just as you're trying to restart your life, is that you need another vision board. And don't get me wrong, I love vision boards, I love dreaming, I love the manifesting, and I love the aesthetics. But today, I want to talk about something much more deeper. How to actually build a lasting brand, not just a beautiful vision. Because a vision board can inspire you, but it cannot sustain you. And if you're a woman over 30, trying to reinvent yourself, or you're under 30 and feeling like you want to kind of start finding your footing, I want this episode to save you years of frustration, comparison, and restarting. This episode is for the woman who knows she's meant for more, but doesn't know where to start. I've had to restart my life twice in the past 5 years. Twice. And not the glamorous kind of restart, not the new year, new me kind. The kind where everything you thought was stable quietly starts falling apart. And you're left standing there trying to figure out, who exactly am I now? Last year, if I'm being honest, I wasn't building. I was surviving. I spent most of that year just basically existing. And what made it harder wasn't just the financial pressure or the practical adjustments that I had to make. It was the disbelief. I literally couldn't believe that after finally feeling like I knew where everything fit in my life, I had to start again. 3 years ago, I shut down one of my businesses, and at the time, I thought I was making a smart strategic decision. What I didn't know though was that my personal life was about to take a hard turn. And when both your professional world as well as your personal world shift at the same time, it leaves you feeling stranded. Financially, I felt stretched. Emotionally, I felt exposed. Mentally, I felt spent. And yet, like so many of us always do, I still made a vision board at the beginning of the year. It was beautiful, aesthetic, soft life, growth, business, alignment, and all the nice glitzy things. But if I'm being honest with you, I didn't feel aligned with it. Not mentally, not emotionally, and definitely not structurally. And that's when it hit me. Sometimes your vision board reflects who you want to be, but your habits at that time or in that season only reflect who you actually are. And mine actually didn't match. So no matter how glamorous my vision board was, my actions just did not land. Not because I was incapable, but because I was disconnected. Disconnected from clarity, disconnected from structure, disconnected from myself, and that realization really harmed me. Because I understood something I wish someone had actually told me sooner. You cannot build a new life on inspiration alone. You need to build it on foundations. So if you're restarting right now, you're pivoting careers, you're building again after something fell apart, I want to share something that would have saved me so much emotional frustration, because I don't want you rebuilding again next year. Restarting isn't the problem. Restarting without a structure is. And what changed everything for me wasn't just a new dream. It was a new approach. So instead of giving you motivation, I want to share the approach that helped me rebuild in a way that felt steady, not rushed, not aesthetic, but solid. The first thing you're going to do is to be aware of what you don't want. One of the biggest mistakes we make as women starting our lives over or our brands is that we focus so much on what we want, but we never get honest about what we actually don't want. And the dangerous part of this is, even if you don't choose your future intentionally, you are still building one. Therefore, clarity about what you refuse to tolerate is more powerful than clarity about what you actually desire. Every day you stay in a job you hate. Every day you hide your voice. Every day you postpone your ideas. You are creating a version of your life and your brand by default. So I want you to pause and ask yourself something very uncomfortable. If I keep living like this for the next 5 years, thinking the same way, upholding the same habits, where will I end up? And do I even like the version of the brand that I'm building? Those questions are uncomfortable, but they are also powerful. Sometimes growth begins not with inspiration, but with honest dissatisfaction. Because clarity doesn't only come from just knowing what you want. It also comes from being able to be brave enough to say, this is what I refuse to continue becoming. The second pillar of building a brand and or a life beyond the vision board is that you need to be willing to be cringe. Now let's talk about something nobody wants to admit. Starting over is very embarrassing. Whether you are posting your first video or you're launching your first product, just like I am with this podcast, telling people you're rebuilding a brand and or you're trying out a new product will always make you feel cringe. And the reason most women don't grow is not because they lack talent. It's because we are afraid of looking amateur. And as women, especially over 30, we often feel like we are too old to experiment. We think I should already have figured this out, or I can't afford to look silly online right now, or I don't want people to think I'm confused. But here's the truth. Every confident woman you admire has old content that she hopes nobody ever finds. Every confident woman was once inexperienced, and every successful brand actually started small. You cannot skip the awkward phase. You cannot become visible, influential, or powerful while still trying to protect your own ego. And the faster you accept that, the faster you will grow. Cringe is the price that you pay for entry. Confidence is the reward for staying. And the women who win are not the ones who never looked foolish. They are the ones who didn't quit when they did. One of the ways my rebuild showed up last year was me restarting my hair business. And honestly, this was not about making a living per se. Yes, I needed the stability. Yes, I was financially stretched. But it was also deeper than just that. There was something about returning to that space, the beauty space, the wig industry, that felt aligned with the woman I was trying to become again. It felt feminine, intentional, soft but strong. And yet, stepping back into it was so uncomfortable. Because if you know anything about that industry, you know it requires a lot of visibility. It requires content, it requires showing up consistently as well as confidently. And I had to learn a new way of showing up. I was used to speaking about business, money, ideas, as you guys know on the Mbali Talks channel. You know, structured conversations. But now I was standing in front of a camera, trying to talk about beauty, trying to sell something visual, trying to capture attention in the first 3 seconds because apparently that's how the internet works. And it honestly left me feeling awkward. There's just something to be said about the vulnerability that comes with putting yourself on camera in a different version of yourself, especially when people already know you in one type of way. I remember recording videos and thinking, this feels so awkward. And I kept wondering, are people going to think I'm maybe doing too much because now I started a hair business? Or are people even going to take this seriously? But here's what I realized. I didn't have the luxury of waiting until I felt fully confident. Plus, I couldn't hire someone else to do it for me because I was financially stretched. So if I wanted to rebuild, like truly rebuild, I had to be willing to look a little uncomfortable while doing it. And that's when it clicked for me. This wasn't just about wigs. It wasn't just about content. It wasn't even just about the income. It was about me choosing not to shrink because I felt embarrassed. It was about rebuilding my confidence in real time. It was about me telling myself that you are worth the effort it takes to create a life that feels aligned. And if a little cringe comes with that, so be it, because staying stuck would have been far more painful than feeling awkward just for a season. The foundation of the first 2 pillars we've spoken about, if you want to build beyond just your vision board, is you need to teach yourself to do the boring work first. Now, let me be very honest with you because this is where things get very real. Before you get to see the aesthetic office, the brand partnerships, as well as the soft life content, there needs to be structure. There is budgeting, there is planning, there is learning, there is consistency. And I know that's not what we like to hear because we love the rebrand. We love the photo shoots, we love the logos, we love the announcement posts that say new beginnings. But the women who build brands that last also fall in love with the unsexy part. Building a lasting brand requires financial awareness, skill development, systems, and showing up even when engagement is low. You cannot brand your way out of poor foundations. And the practical steps that you can take in this part is that you need to sit down and ask yourself, what skills do I need to learn for the brand that I want? What foundations am I avoiding building? What system would actually make this sustainable? Because a brand without structure will collapse the moment it comes online. And this is especially important if you're starting your life and for your brand after 30. This season is not about impressing people. It's about building something that can carry you for the next 10, 20 years. So if you skip the boring parts, you are more likely to keep restarting every after few years. And let me give you another real example of what doing the boring work first actually looked like for me. Starting this podcast wasn't just an idea I woke up with one day. It was lots of research, observation, and humility because I had to admit to myself that even though I already had a YouTube channel, I knew absolutely nothing about podcasting. Before I recorded a single episode, I spent time watching other podcasters, not to copy them, but to study them. How do they structure their conversations? How long are their intros? What makes me stay on that podcast? What makes me click away? I paid attention to pacing, to lighting, to tone, and how they transition between segments. Because I didn't want to just have a podcast. I wanted to build something that could last. And then, of course, came the technical side. And if you know anything about me, you know navigating new technology is just not my natural strength. But I had to go online and research studio aesthetics, look at different setups, learn about editing tools, hosting platforms, as well as audio formats. I had to sit with tutorials, pause, rewind, try again. Not because it was exciting, but because I understood something this time around. If I don't understand the foundation, I will always feel dependent and overwhelmed. And I didn't want to build something that I couldn't sustain. So instead of rushing to announce it, I slowed down and asked myself, what systems do I need in place to stay consistent when motivation actually drops? Because I don't just want to start things anymore. I want to be able to sustain them. Now, before I close, I want us to look at what this really means in the practical sense, because restarting your life and your brand after 30 is actually brave, and you deserve guidance that is honest. So, instead of making another vision board, try making a 90-day plan instead. It's shorter and less overwhelming than trying to create a 5-year plan. Plus, it is more actionable from day one. Number 2, if you're restarting your business, instead of showing up randomly, try to define your message first. Whose problem is your business solving? And how can you create visibility that lands well with that person enough to turn them into a client? Number 3, instead of hoping to blow up or to go viral, focus on getting better. Focus on delivering your message in a more relatable way. And lastly, instead of dreaming about the nice big future that you envision for yourself based on your vision board, improve today's habits one day at a time. Your future brand is built on today's routine, not just in aesthetics, in the actual habits. So if you remember nothing else from today, please remember this. 1, get honest about what you refuse to live with. 2, accept the cringe phase. It's temporary, but very necessary. 3, build foundations before you rush for aesthetics. And number 4, discipline will carry you further than motivation ever will. So, if you're restarting your life, your career, your brand, I want you to know that I am so proud of you, and I want you to know that you don't need a perfect plan. You need courage, consistency, and self-trust. Thank you for blessing me with your time today. And if this episode resonated with you, I want you to sit down this week and write, what kind of woman do I refuse to be in the next 5 years? And then work backwards from that. Thank you for being here for the first episode of the Mbali Talks Podcast. If this spoke to you, please remember to subscribe, share it with the woman rebuilding, and let me know in the comment section what boring work you are finally committing to. I'm going to see you in the next episode.